All right, I want to stay on this actually, if I can, because I know this has been an area of particular controversy. Now, so let's just go back to the basics of this. Let's talk about the what people do if they want to sign up for jobsinwrestling.com. Now, they can sign up for one of a number of packages, as I understand it, up to a maximum value of £185. And then in exchange for that, they'll have their CV listed on the site, among other things.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, I mean, presumably the answer to this is no, but can you explain why that doesn't mean that the jobs will go to whoever pays the most money for the biggest package rather than whoever's the most talented?
Well, I can tell you obviously why, right? If somebody that it's not about the package is not about the quality of job they get. It's about right. So the first job guarantees your site your thing will go in the CV, your CV will go up on the website and stuff. But it also, I mean, there's a lot of crappy jobs, but there's a lot of people that will work ring crew just for experience. But that's good. That to me, that's a good thing. You know, you need to be around wrestling shows on that side of the curtain. How are you ever going to be spotted, make contacts, or get any sort of credibility as someone? Oh, I like that guy. A lot of people that you'll know. Like, you yourself got into wrestling through one of these sort of opportunities, right? It was somebody sort of auditioning or whatever. But you do a lot of stuff outside of being just a commentator, because from your perspective, right, I need to get my face around, I need to learn like as much as I can, and I need to show that I'm dependable so that people trust me with stuff, right? It's more so like that in wrestling because it is something that's fun and there's so many people that want to do it. You know, I have people that tell me, I'll do anything I'll do any job, I'll work the ring crew, I'll load the van, whatever. 3 weeks later, after just a couple of shows, I don't want to do it no more. So and that sets British wrestling back, because what British wrestling needs is a crux of people, and I will answer your question, but a crux of people who we need a camera crew. There's a reason that you go to a British wrestling show and there's different camera crew all the time, because they're all constantly changing. There's nobody that goes, I just want to be a cameraman. So that means that you don't get the best footage, and footage is the only thing that we've got in this country to show the rest of the world what we can do. So the point of this is, first of all, by paying that money, you're showing a commitment, which is fair enough. But you've also now got a way to knock on those doors without having to knock on yourself and have someone go, well, why am I going to give this guy a job? That's for £25, £50, you're guaranteed a job, right? And for £185, you're guaranteed mentoring and as many jobs as it takes for that year for you to feel happy, right? Within reason. I think it's like 6 or 8 jobs or something like that. Now, people will say, well, why does that cost money? Because it takes people's time to do it. It's not a charity, it's a business. I think people need to... Have you ever heard the expression, and this is going to shock some people, the wrestling business? Have you ever heard that expression? Yeah. Well, 50% of it is business. There's a reason it's not the wrestling charity. Where this illusion came from that we should all be doing this for, how are we going to afford to eat? How are we going to afford to look like wrestlers? How are we going to afford to go to meetings to try and get television deals? It has to be a business. It's the wrestling business. Yet when people on the forum don't like do it, right? When I'm doing it, it's like, But when somebody else does it, like Mark is very popular on the forum, right? It's Mark Sloan, who runs a wrestling merchandise business, who runs shows as a business. I've not seen anybody say that about Mark. That's not pointing. I get on with Mark really well. I was on the phone to him for an hour today, but that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of people have rose-coloured glasses when it comes to certain people and not others, and I think that's the crux of it, really.
I think you've half answered this in what you just said, but let me just phrase it to you like this from the customer of Jobs in Wrestling's perspective then. So why, as the customer, do I want to pay up to £185 for the mentoring? Why is that worth my while so much more than just going independently to a promoter, cutting out the middleman and saying I'll work for you?
It isn't. That's the simple answer. It's a choice you make. It isn't. There's no difference. It's exactly the same. That's the thing. But some people would prefer to do it that way and have it done for them because they're not as confident to go up and speak to that person, or they don't want the knockback, or they just want a quicker route. And some people will go, no, I can do this myself. And the people that will go and do that themselves are showing great initiative, but they might just catch the promoter on a bad day. There's a difference between, John Smith going to a promoter after a shit show saying, I'd like to be involved, and getting a bit jittery and messing it up and ruining that chance and then being put off, or John Smith paying £25, then Alex Shane phones that promoter and says, can you do me a favour and put this guy on a show as the ring crew? There is no difference, and it says that on the website. We are not doing anything but there are people doing this for a job now, a job in wrestling, in the wrestling business. So they're not going to do it for free. And I think it got really blown out of proportion. You've always got to ask what the agenda is. Like, if people are willing to pay for the service, it's like the gold ringside tickets. Who would pay? It's always the people who are not looking to pay for it that just want to shit on it because it's someone they don't like particularly doing it. You know, it's fine if people are going to pay for it. It's a service. If it helps generating, different new people in the wrestling business, then it's great. You know, but I do think people there's always an agenda behind the.
We should move on, but let me just to wrap this section up. Let me just then we've looked
at
it
like therapy. This is amazing.
We've looked at this as from the customer's perspective, if you like, of jobs in wrestling. I have one more question from the promoter's perspective. Yeah. Then, so if you're the promoter who's got this work from an employee, I don't know what you call them, a client of jobsinwrestling.com, and they've agreed to work for free for 6 months. And then after 6 months or so, or however long it is, they start saying, I think it's reasonable that you start paying me now. Now, what's to stop the promoter from then saying, well, to be honest, there's another batch of people from jobsinwrestling.com who just want to start out and will do it for free, so I'll ditch you.
Yeah, there's nothing to stop the promoter doing that. That's down to the person's individual initiative. You know, you've got that time. What's to say that in 6 months, okay, the guy does 6 months with Jobs in Wrestling, that's 6 shows. Whoopie fucking do. You know, what is to say that guy now deserves to get a job? He has to show initiative. You can't just, walk into it, well, I'll pay my £25 and I need a job. You know, you have to be an asset. You have to make yourself an asset. Wrestling, I'm telling you, wrestling doesn't owe me a living. I deserve to get one if I can continue to be relevant to it, but it doesn't owe me a living. So there's no way someone who's paid £25 on a website is equal to me in what I've put into it. So if I don't think I'm owed a living, then nobody else should. And if they do, they don't. To be honest, like, if somebody says, well, I think I deserve it, I'd refund them their £25. Like, in fact, if they told me from the get-go, this is what I'm going to pay this and I deserve blah, 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 I'd say, look, don't bother. I really would. And that's not money grabbing. That's because that person has no place in wrestling. You know, and here's the thing, back to the money grabbing thing. I was saying this to somebody the other day. If somebody said, Alex, there's 2 options, right? We'll give you 100 grand, right, to run a company that's shit, but it's 100 grand, right, guaranteed, 500 grand even, right? And it's a company that is, it's a company, but it's not good. It's not good matches. It's not good for wrestling fans, but it will have packed houses and you'll get this guaranteed. Or you can run a company that's cool, it's good for wrestling, but we're going to give you 75% less money. I would always, hand on my heart now, may I be struck down, right? I would always take the thing that I thought was more creatively, aesthetically pleasing. Just look at the old FWA product. I didn't luck into running good shows. I didn't luck into running super shows that, it wasn't cheap for me to fly those guys in. It wasn't, I didn't have some some mastermind strategy. People think that, people think that I got really rich off those shows. I just wanted to run good shows. I wasn't doing the figures. I wasn't number crunching. I just thought I want to run these amazing shows so I think hopefully that's answered that question. But, to really put an exclamation point on it, people are always going to have an opinion about me. And, I'm like the Marmite of British wrestling, as Finlay Martin said to me, as well as being the Yellow Pages, which, and if people have that opinion, that's cool. But you can tell pretty obviously. I mean, you read some of that stuff. You can start to see when the people with an agenda, in some ways, I just started to stand back and do nothing. And then other people who are totally not affiliated with us started saying, well, that's it's a bit of an obvious agenda. So, and people talk really big behind a keyboard as well. Like, and it's easy to poke fun at or take pot shots at someone who's got a quite public image and puts himself out there. A lot of these people who are sort of famous on the forum, you wouldn't even know their real first name. So I think you've always got to look for the sort of agenda. But I will say it's a wrestling fan forum and they're entitled to their opinion. They are fans, and that's, there you go.